Welcome to episode 6, the final episode of our video series, Yes, It's True, a thriving Amish community once existed in Butler County, Ohio. This episode is titled Butler County Amish Community, Success or Failure. Given the growth and size of our Butler County Amish community in the 1800s, it may seem surprising that it did not survive. Yet there were some unique factors that likely had influence on the final outcome. The original group, first arriving in 1819, the Augsburger congregation from the French Alsace region, was noticeably more tradition-minded than the 1832 Hessians from the Hesse region of Germany. Both groups had Amish origins, but evolved separately over 150 years in the Old Country, with 150 miles of geographic separation. As noted in episode 5, differences in religious practices and outlook on daily living created tensions shortly after the Hessians arrived and resulted in the congregation splitting into two within 3 years. That phenomenon was unique to the Butler County Amish during the 1830s. Other established, more homogeneous Amish communities across the country were not grappling with those tensions to the same heightened degree for 3 or 4 more decades. After all, the Butler County Amish in the early 1800s represented the earliest and largest influx of Amish immigrants direct from Europe to establish a new Amish settlement since before the American Revolution, and with two rather distinct subgroups from different points of origin to boot. There was considerable intermarriage between the two Butler County congregations in the 1840s and 1850s by first-generation descendants either born in America or arriving as children or young adults. They in turn were raising families of their own, and intermarriage continued to play out with subsequent generations. Those generational familial ties and influence created through intermarriage may explain in part why the whole community ultimately merged into a single, more progressive-minded Mennonite congregation, without any separate Old Order Amish congregation carrying forward to present day. The value placed on education by the Hessians had an impact on broadening horizons and exposure to influences outside the narrower focus of traditional Amish practices as well. Let's not forget our Hessians brought two teachers, one a music teacher, with them in their 1832 emigration to Butler County. One descendant, Otelia Augsburger, became the first Mennonite woman in the United States to graduate from college in the year 1886. Another descendant, Bertha Kinzinger, graduated from college in 1896, 1 year prior to the final merger of the Augsburger Amish congregation into the Mennonite Church of Trenton. Otelia graduated from Western Female Seminary, now part of Miami University, Ohio, and Bertha graduated from Wittenberg College in Springfield, Ohio. Dr. Samuel Moisman, another descendant from Butler County, along with two others, was a founder of the Mennonite-affiliated Bluffton College, now University, in Bluffton, Ohio. He served as its first president for 25 years, starting in 1910. Other descendants of the Butler County Amish went on to graduate from Bluffton College in its early years as well. Another factor with probable significance was the sizable wealth among some members of the Amish community and the capital they were able to invest upon arrival in America. Of the original Augsburger pioneers, Christian, the leader of the group, certainly came to America with wealth. He was a prominent manager of a large farming estate in the French Alsace region prior to coming to America. The estate was owned by Karl Schulmeister, a spy for Napoleon during the Napoleonic Wars. Christian was able to purchase land immediately upon arrival in Butler County, while some others had to lease. He went on to acquire over 1,900 acres personally during his lifetime. In 1832, the year our Hessian group of more than 100 came to Butler County, Hessian authorities made a record of the worth of Amish immigrants to America. Christian Utze, whose worth at 10,000 thalers, German silver coinage issued during the period, was 100 times the average worth of those on the bottom half of the list. Another brother and two half-brothers of Christian, who also made the trip in 1832, were ranked second and tied for third highest on the documented list of wealth. By capitalizing on the many opportunities presented in Butler County, generational wealth was passed down through at least the next two generations. As an example, Christian Augsburger, upon his passing, left 160 acres of farmland and $40,000 in today's dollars for each of 11 surviving children and one widow's 3 Augsburger children, split equally. At one point in the 1800s, there was over 3,200 acres of land held by Augsburgers alone in the community. Although not a guarantee, generally wealth fosters over time more exposure and influence in a broader community. Yet this to a degree is antithetical to the Amish focus on immediate community with limits on exposure to and influence from the outside world. In addition, Butler County was blessed with fertile farmland. This combined with their available capital and skills in farming, for which the Amish were known both in Europe and America, gave our Amish a considerable head start over other immigrants. There was ready access to good transportation, first with the Great Miami River, then the opening of the Miami-Erie Canal in the region in 1829, and later major rail lines. The transportation in turn provided ready access to a large market about 25 miles to the south in Cincinnati and to a Dayton market 25 miles to the north, primed for growth with the opening of the canal. By 1840, Cincinnati grew to become the sixth largest city in the country. It was nicknamed Porkopolis when it became the country's leading pork processing center. Rather than being limited within a very remote rural setting to supplying immediate family and the local market only, the Butler County Amish had much greater opportunity to expand their operations and sell products. Broader market access, in turn, would naturally have accelerated exposure to modernization and influence of the outside world. Notable direct descendants of the Butler County Amish community include Charles Richter, who is best known for his development of the Richter scale to measure earthquake magnitude in 1935. Esther Price was the founder of Esther Price Candies in 1926. Today, the company produces about 1 million boxes of candy per year. Arthur Compton won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1927 for his discovery of the Compton effect, demonstrating the particle effect of electromagnetic radiation, and went on to serve as a key figure on the Manhattan Project during World War II that produced the first nuclear weapons. All three were descended from the original 1819 Amish pioneers, Christian and Catherine Augsburger. Arthur Compton, whose middle name is also Holly, traces roots to the Hollies who arrived with the wave of Hessians in 1832. Charles Richter is also descended from the Kinzingers, who first arrived in 1837. So from an Amish perspective, particularly considering the explosive growth of Amish communities in America in the late 20th century and into the 21st century, the Butler County Amish community would be viewed as a failed one. Yet from a broader perspective, the fate of the community became the quintessential success story of immigrants who came to America in search of religious freedom and increased opportunity, and ultimately fully assimilated into mainstream American society. That concludes the final episode of our series, Yes, It's True, a thriving Amish community once existed in Butler County, Ohio. Thanks for viewing our video series.